Hey everybody, what is going on? And we are back with the mini-series of MLB 2K, or MLB 18, the show, leading up to 19, and Cameron Batts is back after disappearing from the awards last year. He wins a Hank Aaron Award this year, so good for Cameron Batts. I think he also is going to get back into the rankings in the Silver Slugging outfield. There he is. So another Silver Slugger and another Hank Aaron Award for Cameron Batts, the only guy that we've had to win two of them. So that's entertaining for sure. National League, nobody was able to do anything. Marlins, Dodgers. I don't know who I keep looking for with the Marlins, but I believe Justin Jones is a member of the Dodgers right now. Oh, Lynch Jr.'s on the Marlins. There he is. A pinch hit he had, and he got a hit, and he scored a run in this game. For the Dodgers, Justin Jones doesn't appear to have played, so no, he did not get a chance. So Lynch does something, and go figure, he loses. Then we move on. We have the Padres taking on the Phillies, and the Phillies are going to beat the Padres. Padres, didn't see anything there. Paris Allen goes 0 for 4 with the Phillies, his newish team. Grounded into a double play in the game, but the Phillies win anyways, 5-4. Then in the next game, San Diego wins it. I don't believe Carmichael's with them anymore. 2 for 4 for Paris Allen in that one, though, with an error made by him, which isn't great. And that's a loss for the Phillies. Then he goes 2 for 6 with 2 runs scored and 2 RBIs in game number 3. Supremely important for the team there. And then in the closeout game, he pinch hits. He scores a run after walking. So, interesting there. Did he get a stolen base by any chance? Yes, he did. So, good for him. Paris Allen getting some stuff done for the Phillies, and they'll move on against the Padres. Now, Cameron Batts will move on against the Red Sox. Cameron Batts goes 0 for 3 in the first game, with a stolen base, though, in a 2-1 win. Then in a 3-8 loss, Cameron Batts goes 2 for 4 with a run scored. So he had 2 of the 6 Texas hits. Then Cameron Batts, in a 10-5 win, goes 1 for 4 with a run scored and an RBI, also a walk and a strikeout, so all over the stat sheet there is Cameron Batts. He hit a double in the game. And the closeout 5-3 game, Batts is going to go 0 for 3. So he's batting .214 right now in the postseason, but he will be moving on to the ALCS, and he will be taking on the Kansas City Royals. Now, Paris Allen is in the NLCS taking on the Cardinals, and he's going to lose. He goes 1 for 8 in the first game with 3 strikeouts. So not a great first game for him. Second game is a win, and he goes 2 for 3 with a run scored, an RBI, and 2 walks. So a very good game for him there. A double. And then a 6-5 loss. Did he do enough in that one? He went 3 for 5. You can't blame him. He had 2 of the 5 Philadelphia RBIs with 2 doubles. So he did everything he could. Then looking at this one, he didn't play in it, so can't blame him for that 7-2 loss. And then in the 3-2 loss, he goes 1 for 4 with a run scored and a strikeout, so batting .314 on the postseason is Paris Allen III at the moment. Then we move on. Cameron Batts, what did he do for his squad? He went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs in game number 1. So 2 out of the 5 RBIs are him, but the pitchers on his squad gave up 19 hits. Then in a 5-3 game, he went 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a walk. So not incredible, but he did hit a double in it. And then he went 1 for 3 with a run scored, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. He's batting .291 throughout the postseason so far. And then the final 2 games, which are losses, he goes 0 for 4 to go down to .250. And in the 6-0 game, he goes 0 for 2 with 1 walk to go down to 233. So not a terrific performance. Nobody's in it. So the Cardinals will defeat the Royals in the World Series. Just to show you who won it, Justin Jones will retire at the age of 41 off the Los Angeles Dodgers. Played a lot of third base in his career. He did play, oddly enough, I think some second base, even though that's not listed as a position. But I could have sworn I seen him playing some second every once in a while. He did actually play in the majors 2 games with 8 at-bats, but he only had 1 hit. And the rest of his career is known for being an Angel and a Twin, obviously. He had a career batting average of .264 with 446 home runs. Is that going to be enough to get him into the Hall of Fame? We'll have to see. Let's check out his wins above replacement, see how important of a man this guy really was to his squads, because that's always kind of interesting to me. Obviously, he had negative WARs in his 2 later years, but he had a couple years there with 7.1 and 6.8. Some pretty good WARs out there. Not a bad player at all. He's got a chance. He might be the guy with the best chance so far. Dominic Ekstrom. Now, I kept hearing about this guy hitting home runs and stuff. He retired at the age of 42. You would think he would amass some pretty good numbers, but he's a 56 overall now, so I doubt he's played much in the last couple of years, and he hasn't played at all in the last couple of years. There he is playing with the Angels. He hit 7 home runs in 32 games. It's actually not bad. I don't know where the drop-off comes, though, for him and why he hadn't gotten a job later on. 281 average. He hit 384 home runs, so you can tell Justin Jones, a bit of a better player in amassing stats throughout his career. Let's just check out some of the WAR for him, because that's going to be interesting as well. Look at that, all positive. No negatives. Never a negative WAR. That's amazing. Good career, in my opinion. John Zoidberg. This guy took forever to get to the majors. Retires as a 63 overall, better than most of the people that have retired so far. Retires at the age of 40, the 5'5", 208-pound catcher. 10 years of major league service. He had 1 year with the Miami Marlins, hit 4 home runs there, batted .308 in 47 games, and that's his trade year right there. That's why it says total. His best season came with the Minnesota Twins, in which he won a World Series. Let's see, does the WAR say that? Yes, it does. He had a 3.6 WAR that year. Never had anything better than that, but not too bad. And Justin Jones, as predicted, is the guy. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. 19 years of playing from draft to retirement. Over 9,000 at-bats, 2,400 hits, 446 homers, batting at .264. Not too bad. Now, the only guy who was in the majors the next season was Alex Lynch Jr., and he was in the majors as a 65 overall, but with a dislocated ankle, he'd be out for 3 to 4 months. So no chance of seeing him play in the postseason, so we're just going to go ahead, sim through the entire postseason, and the Red Sox are going to defeat the Cardinals in the 2039 World Series. Let's take a look at the awards for that year, which I didn't really look at, and see if anybody's in there. I don't see anybody. I don't suspect that we're going to see anybody, because nobody was really playing in the majors outside of Alex Lynch, and if he was out for that long, then I don't think he was going to make it either. So no one's going to have a chance here, but we're taking a peek at it anyway, just to, poops and giggles and all that stuff. All right, so that's done. QJ Casimir has now retired, and he retires off the Seattle Mariners. Now, we remember hearing about this guy a lot in awards early on. Retires as a 57 overall, but he was going up for some reason. 42 years old. 13 years in Major League service. He hadn't played in the majors in the last 3 years. Obviously, he played with the Cardinals, 5 homers in 35 games in the last season he played with them. He amassed 422 home runs. a 260 career average. I think he's got a chance. He was right there behind Justin Jones. Justin Jones quietly had more home runs than everybody, and this guy also never really had a negative WAR. And he was a good player. He won a lot of awards. He's got a chance, in my opinion, to make the Hall of Fame, but will he do it? Still has the dead red quirk. Kind of amazing. Bilpin Archibald also going to retire, the man out of Australia. 55 overall, 40 years old, and he's going to call it quits. Only had the 3 pitches his whole career. Hadn't played the last 3 years in the majors. The last time he saw the majors, he went 1-7, pitching 60 innings, had 46 saves, and somehow didn't get a job after that. Coming off of a season with 46 saves and having a career 294 ERA, I would have expected the guy to get another shot, but 512 saves is really high, considering the most all-time is Mariano Rivera, and he's pretty much mid-600s. So 512 should be pretty high on that list. Then we have Alex Lynch Jr. retiring, of course, still injured with that dislocated ankle. He's not even going to try to come back from it. 65 overall, which is one of the better overalls to retire, obviously. 39 years of age, 5'8", and he was playing in the majors up until that very last season right there. And as you can see, he hit 8 home runs in it. Early on, I mean, he was playing. Those 3 years right there might have killed him. We'll see if he can make the Hall of Fame with that 278 average. 271 home runs as a shortstop is decent enough. The WAR only had a -1 at the end and at the very beginning. After that, he was a solid player, and he was winning awards out there too, so we'll see if he makes it. Bryce Barber. Now, this is an interesting story because the man retires at the age of 41. You would think he was a good player for a long time, and I guess you could say he was a good backup for a really long time. But you could see, like, he didn't play that many long seasons. He did it right there between, like, 2032 and 2036 was about it. And 2028 you can kind of give him too. But after that, he was kind of like a backup, situational type of player. His WARs, not overly impressive. He did have one good 4.6 there and a 4.4 kind of near the end of his career, despite the fact that he had only played in, like, he played 138 games in that, so that's not bad. But Bryce Barber did not amass the stats that you would figure would get a Hall of Famer. Then we have Harrison Mann, who retires at the age of 43. This guy was the lowest overall of all of the players starting out. I think he retires near what the overall that he was at was after like year 1 or 2. And he hadn't played in 3 years. He played with St. Louis and Baltimore, and just one at-bat with Kansas City. You could barely count that. So he played 1 year with St. Louis, the rest with Baltimore. Very interesting. He had a nice 6.8 WAR season right there with Baltimore. That was his best season. That was the one he won the Silver Slugger with. And that was the highlight of his life. You know, he wins the Silver Slugger Award, and he's like that guy that kind of fades away into obscurity after that. Colin Mentor is a guy who had great success early on in his career. 50 overall now, 40 years old. He hadn't played in 5 years. He was really hanging on, hoping to get a job because he had 222 career home runs, though those last 3 years he was barely getting used, but he was consistent for about 6 years, hitting around 20 home runs. But that trade right there from Colorado to Miami, and Colorado brings back that first base prospect that ends up winning a couple MVPs and a lot of Silver Sluggers. Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows what Colin's career would have been if that trade never happened. Then we have Marty McBombers, another guy going to retire at the age of 43 years old. 58 overall, hadn't played for 2 years. He had 24 at-bats with 3 home runs in that final year that he did play with Texas. Signed a lucrative deal with Texas, but really only played 1 full season with them. So that's kind of weird. We'll take a look at his WARs. Doesn't appear to never had a negative. He had 1 really good season, and it was the year after he signed the lucrative deal there with St. Louis, or he signed the 1-year deal with St. Louis. He had to have a good year to get a lucrative deal, and he did. He did have it, but after he got the money, he was kind of buns. And finally, Alex Lynch Jr., out of all those guys, is the only one to make the Hall of Fame. 271 homers with a 278 average. Not too bad. Thank you guys for watching this episode. We got 1 more episode to go. Don't forget to like this one and subscribe if you're new.